Video game theories and creepypastas are a very common thing nowadays. Almost every game you can think of spawned at least one of these.
There is no need for continuing since you definitely know what I'm talking about. The classics that began the whole craze have interested me for some time. Not really because of their stories, but for the reasons why they became so widespread. I came to a lot of conclusions a long time before this topic blew up recently. A lot of people started analyzing it and digging for deep trivia and theories about a lot of well-known games.
Curiously, the majority of them are centered around Super Mario 64. However, I didn't notice anybody bringing up any reasons for why that is. Think about it. There are numerous icebergs for whole franchises such as Zelda or Sonic, but Super Mario 64 got one all for itself. What's more, it was the one to be the starting point for the entire craze.
But if I asked you why this game in particular blew up so much, and why people are analyzing every aspect of it, will you answer? I have a lot to say about it since, as I said, I find it very interesting.
For the record, this video won't be an exploration through the theories or features of this game that people deem creepy. Instead, I'm going to explore how and why this aspect of it became so popular.
Also, a quick disclaimer. It's funny, but I've never actually played this game, not even once. However, all the points I'm going to make do not require me to do so. Please stay with me here, you will see what I mean. Anyway, let's go straight into this topic.
Before we will explore the reasons why Super Mario 64 became the most explored game of all time, let's go through how it did so. Fortunately, this is very simple and will take only a moment to explain. This community, like everything else, is the product of people's escalating interest. It lies in human nature to pull others into anything they find important. This is how every man-made thing came to be. I know this may sound complicated, but it really isn't. The simplest example would be the game Geometry Dash. In short, it went from this to this, and gained a big following simply because the players were trying to impress one another and were bringing others to show them their achievements. This is just how humans work. In case of Mario 64, it was that some people began exploring the game, sharing their opinions, and in time everything escalated to the point we are now on.
And this is how we get to the main topic of this video. What caused this, and why did this happen on such a great scale?
Let's start by looking at what Super Mario 64 is. In essence, it's an early 3D exploratory platformer, probably the first of its kind. The first reason for why so many people consider this game unsettling stares in their faces right when the game is started. This was probably the first game with a realistic open world to explore, at least the first of its magnitude. The worlds in earlier games were less complex and still kept a very artificial feel. The one in Mario 64 went in a different direction. The hub world, for example, in many ways feels like an actual location that can exist. It definitely is stylized and cartoony, but at the same time, it stays pretty grounded in reality. However, at the same time, it has an obscure and somewhat unpolished feel to it. All the textures are off and very blurry, or strangely repeating, like the castle roof tiles. The most noticeable of these definitely being the skybox. It can easily give an unsettling vibe if you're looking for it, and especially if someone suggested that to you. This style continues through the whole game, so every level is affected. This is also why I think so many people are fascinated by Wet Dry World. It's simply the level where all these points, mostly the skybox and lighting, culminate. So, if you've ever wondered why do you feel uneasy while playing it, that's why. And also, as I said, probably the suggestion from the internet. There are also numerous details in the game's world which have no obvious use, and because of that can make people curious and lead them to speculating and creating theories.
My next point is linked to the game's very physical form, a cartridge itself. Now, think for a moment what a cartridge is. It is essentially a little box with the entire game code inside of it. And if you think about it, it's a very mystical thing. This entire world is really hidden somewhere inside here, but you can't see it. Whether you feel it or not, your mind can't know what exactly is in there. For a game CD, for example, All the data is always visible. You can't read it, but you can see it. You can't do the same with a cartridge. Because of this, you don't know what is going on there, and you can't be sure if some variation, personalized AI or something worse lurks in there. I think you could have always had this feeling without noticing it. Moreover, how much do you hear about haunted game CDs as compared to cartridges? That's what I mean.
By the way, if you are going to mention Sonic R, let's be real, nobody would pay any attention to it if it didn't have the Tails doll.
So, you have an off-putting world inside of a potentially haunted little box. Let's add more to it.
What I think is the next major reason for the game's huge community of explorers is its immense popularity. There are millions and millions of people who have played it, and so then you can exchange their experiences, which creates a great ground for speculating and creating theories.
What's even more important, note that is an early childhood memory for a significant amount of players. As you know, the memory in the childhood is very fuzzy, and you can't be 100% sure if the game wasn't different when you played it all those years ago. Doesn't this add up a lot to the mystique? What's even better, these memories are an emotional thing. You're more keen to read or listen to theories about a game that's close to you, and you've heard it may have some dark secrets. Don't deny it, it is a very appealing thing. But we are not done yet.
As you definitely know, a big portion of the creepiness surrounding this game is its beta and development. This aspect of this game isn't well documented, and in large part remains a mystery.
And this is a huge thing. Data is scarce and mostly on these. VHS tapes have the same quality that cartridges do. You can't be sure of their contents, and most of them are physically hidden.
They are a staple in the horror genre, and people use them in creepy YouTube videos for a reason. Let's not ignore that what is shown there is an incomplete world. And that by itself can be incredibly off-putting. Like, look at this. This is just creepy.
In general, the history behind anything is important. And when it is scarce, the mind starts to work trying to fill in the blanks. And this is ultimately the main reason for Super Mario 64's appeal for creators. The unknown.
The combination of the fuzzy childhood memories, the physical medium it uses, the incomplete documentation, and a lot more. One aspect of all this remains. Why was it this game in particular? The answer is that it was simply a perfect mix of the points I mentioned. If you remove one or more, it loses a lot of its force. Take Ocarina of Time as an example. It shares a lot in common with Mario 64. It's on a cartridge and has an even more realistic world inside. However, it was overall less of an early childhood memory, and far less people played it back then. The game with a bigger player base and nostalgia force will spread more, just like Mario 64 did. Similarly, games like Crash or Spyro don't have the same realistic worlds, have a much smaller following, and were released on CDs. Finally, something like the classic Sonic games are pretty well documented and are in 2D, which definitely lessens the mysterious feel. Now, I know that this spawned sonic.exe, but if you think about it, little more, really.
And so, to put it quickly, Super Mario 64 is such a hit in the internet culture due to its unique combination of its properties and the circumstances it was made under. And I think this is a great thing, because more people can enjoy it in lots of different ways. I hope that I've shed some light onto this topic and that you have enjoyed it. And so, thank you for watching this video, and inform me in the comments what do you think about it. Now excuse me, I have a game to play. See you!